Hi, this is the Bunsen Burner Lamp. I'm going to start by showing you parts of the burner. Now please keep in mind this burner has not been used, so please do not do this with your Bunsen burner. You can see this part right here. This is the gas inlet valve, and this is where we'll put the tubing so the gas would actually enter the Bunsen burner. This part here is the barrel. This is where the gas and the air are going to mix. Now be careful. You never want to touch it here because once it's lit, it will get extremely hot. Now, I want to show you, and it's kind of hard sometimes to see here. This thick piece right here is called the collar, and I'll undo it in just a second. You can see the vents here. They're like little windows. They're going to let the air into and out of the windows, and what the collar will do is open and close the vents. Now, if I turn it counterclockwise all the way, this would actually come apart. Okay, so you can see this again would be considered the collar. Here are your vents. All right. This piece here, this round piece, as well as the legs here supporting it, this is called the base. It is what's going to hold the Bunsen burner together. And one of the most important parts is this little piece down here. This is the gas inlet valve. Okay, so you would actually turn this to open up to let the gas into the burner, and that's what you're going to see. Now please don't ever do this because, again, you would get kind of nauseated and sick. Natural gas, remember, doesn't have an odor. So they put a sulfur compound in there to give that stinky odor. And what would happen is you would get very nauseated, so please don't do that. Now this is the spud. This is the very tip. That's exactly where the gas is going to be concentrated. And if someone does not put this together correctly, you might have the burner strike back. And what that means is instead of lighting at the top here, it's going to light at the bottom. You would actually see the flames come in through here. Now, before you ever light a Bunsen burner, you want your gas jets. If anything goes wrong, you would turn these off, which they are right now, all the way to the left or all the way to the right. It doesn't matter. When we work with them, we're going to turn them very quickly to go parallel. But what you have to make sure that you do is you don't want them touching like this. Because even though you don't smell it, you don't hear it, there's actually gas being leaked out, so you got to be careful. All right? So those are the parts of the burner. If you would stop at this point, and please go ahead and record your letters. Now there's some safety rules here. It says do not reach across the lit burner, do not hold the lit burner near your books or other flammable materials. If the burner strikes back, burns at the bottom, turn off the gas supply at once. Do not touch the burner and notify the teacher. Okay, so let me move this one out of the way. Okay, so when you're doing lab 2, the other thing is you want to make sure you don't have this too close because, again, that's a little bit of common sense in what would happen. Now remember your safety procedures, okay? Goggles, apron, roll up any long sleeves. If the hair's in the way, make sure you tie it back. So number 2 says the proper way to light a Bunsen burner. You're going to connect the rubber hose to the gas jet. And what I usually do is I'll take a look at the hose too, make sure I don't feel any cracks or anything like that. Now when I connect it, I'm going to put it up just a little bit. Don't shove it all the way back up there because it can be difficult to get off. But you can see that it's on there nice and secure. It's not coming off. If I was just to kind of put it in at the edge, it's going to come off, and we don't want that to happen. So you want it secure. The next step says close the air holes by turning the collar. Okay, so if I look at that Bunsen burner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it, okay, clockwise. And clockwise is going to close it. Now, I close it all the way. I'm going to eventually need to open it. So what I always do is I go back a little bit to make sure I can open it up. All right? Next step, finger tighten the spud, then open 1/4 to allow the gas to flow into the burner. Okay, so here, right here is my gas valve. Now let me show you. If I actually turn counterclockwise, that would open this up for this burner. And I don't want to see this. I want to close it all the way. Okay, so I'm turning clockwise. Okay, so there it is, it's closed. Now 1/4, I usually put my thumb up here, that would be 1/4 to open up. And again, each Bunsen burner is a little bit different, okay, and how to do that. So we'll go back, I closed it, and again, open it up 1/4. Okay, now when I sit this down, just make sure your hose is opened, everything is all set. All right, so we're gonna light the match, but instead we're gonna use these. Okay, turn the gas jet quickly, holding the match just above the barrel. Go from 0 to 45 quickly, and continue opening until it's lit. Now once it's lit, if we were using a match, which we're not, but if we were, we would put the match in the evaporating dish. Okay, you can see I have a little bit of the hose sprinkling up. Okay, so the best bet is to light this first. Okay, I'm going to turn on my gas jet very quickly. Okay, now you can control by the gas jet, and again, bring it down at a safe level. Now this is what we call a luminous flame. It has no air and no oxygen. And this is where you should be in step 3. We're going to ask you to go ahead and answer some questions. So closing the air holes blanks the supply of air to the burner. Okay, you would kind of put your word in there. The color of the flame, you would go ahead and answer that. Now, step B, with the air holes closed, the burner produces a what kind of flame? So this is what we call a luminous flame. It has some shine to it. Okay, it's lacking air or oxygen. Now, in part C, they're going to ask us to hold a cold, dry test tube in the upper part of the flame until there's a color change. So I'm going to bring over my test tube rack. So again, once I'm done, I can put it there. I have some test tube holders, and I have a dry test tube that hasn't been used. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right up to the lip here, so put my fingers all the way to the back. Now, when you heat, it says the upper part of the flame, and you want the opening pointing the way from yourself and others. So I'm going to point mine at the board here. And I'm going to heat it until I see a color change on this test tube. Notice you got to keep it in constant motion. You're trying to heat evenly. I'm not sure if you can see the color of that. Okay, so could you record that color? Then it asks you, is combustion in the luminous flame complete or incomplete? So complete combustion means that oxygen's present. Remember, we have no oxygen because, again, we closed the collar completely. So this is what we consider incomplete combustion because there's no oxygen that takes place. Now, this is where we start. We will never really do any more experiments with this. All right, this is not the flame that we use. We want something a little bit hotter for the reaction. So it says gradually turn the collar of the burner. This opens more air holes, and then there are a couple questions to actually answer. Now, usually I go a little bit higher with this, and I'm going to come down here to the collar. I'm going to turn until I get 2 blue cones. Okay, now I can hear it. And I'm not sure if you can see the 2 blue cones, but it should look very much like on the first page of the lab, figure 1-2. This is what we call a non-luminous flame. This is where oxygen's present. And you have different flames here. You have what we call the inner cone, okay, and you have the outer cone. Now the hottest part, where we want to put our test tubes, where we want to make sure the beaker is touching, is the tip of that cone there, okay? So the tip of the inside cone is where you want to be, all right, for that. Now we have some experiments that they want us to use, so let me get my insulated square, some tongs, and they want us to use some nichrome wire. So I'm going to grab it with my tongs, and what they want to do is they want us to move it up and down in the flame. And what happens is the nichrome wire is going to glow at the hottest part of the flame. So you see that? That's the hottest part of my Bunsen burner. This is where I want the reactions to take place. So I will put my test tube in at that area. I'll make sure my beaker is touching. Now this is extremely hot, so again we will let it cool and just push it off to the side. Okay, so now you have some questions to answer in number 5. please make sure you use the figure 1-2 to help you answer those questions. Okay, so now, number 5 says turn off the gas jet and place a straight pin through the match directly under its head. Support the match in the barrel as shown in figure 1-3, which is on the front of the lab. And then they ask us the question, okay, does the match light? So let's go one step at a time. I turn off the gas jet. I can go either way, all the way to the right or to the left, it doesn't matter. Okay, notice I didn't touch the burner. If I touch the burner, I'm going to have some problems. Now let me grab, I have some paper matches here and I have a pin. So if you take a look at the front of the lab, they show you that picture where the pin's got to go right under the head of the match. Place that in there, try to center it up. Now, if I light this and I put it next to the match, of course it's going to light. So what I want to do is I want to light the gas. And when you take a look at that diagram, okay, figure 1-2, what A is pointing towards is the zone of the unburned gas. That means nothing's going to burn there. So what we're going to try to do is kind of prove that experiment, all right? So I'm going to turn on the gas, let it building up, bring my flame in slowly. And there we go. Okay, so my match did not light. So you can go ahead and record your answer for that. Okay, then they tell us we're going to turn off the gas jet. Now if I'm quick, the match won't light, so we'll see. Okay, good. Whew. So I'm going to take the pair of tongs, and I'm going to remove the match. I'm going to pull out the pin, because I'll need the pin. Okay, put the match away. So what they want us to do is they want us to light the Bunsen burner. Now remember, I didn't touch anything, so all I have to do is turn on the gas jet, turn on my gas, and there I am, 2 blue tongs. Now they asked us to take a piece of brass tubing, and I'm going to get a match here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this, I'm going to put this actually down here. And hopefully what should happen is the gas is going to go all the way up to the tube, and I'm going to light it, and hopefully we should see a flame at the other end. Okay, so let me light my match first. I don't know if you can see it there, but I do have a flame. I'll try to get a little bit higher. But you got an idea, okay? So I did have a flame come up at the end. Okay, let me turn off my gas jet since I'm done with the experiment. You have some questions to answer now. All right, so go ahead and finish that, and then your teacher will talk to you on how they want the lab written up.